Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in this gospel, broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. Record breaking, over 7 billion people will see blood moon, total lunar eclipse in September. Says totality will last over 80 minutes, which is basically an hour and 20 minutes, which the whole world will witness this eclipse within an hour and 20 minutes, which is wild because there wasn't even any mention of this to my knowledge. Now, Manasseh may have made some mention of it, but I know last year we had the blood moon. We had a blood moon and we had the total solar eclipse, which made an X across Babylon. All right. And the first one we had back in 2017. And then the second one we had 2024, which was approximately 7 years. And earlier this year, we had a blood moon on the night of the Passover. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is really showing signs, man. And he's getting ready to get hella creative with his judgments. Because the brother just texted in a group chat that 3 landmines washed up on shore from the ocean and blew up 3 people. All right. Another thing, too, there was a horrible wreck about like 2 or 3 days ago. I think somebody flew through the windshield and dude's head was twisted on backwards. Then another one, there was this pit bull that mauled this lady for 20 minutes straight to the point her fucking liver, her heart was pierced, and her arm was ripped off by a pit bull, a nigga woman. So how about Yahweh Shai ain't playing games, man? And you scoffers out there that like to come on our comment boards and popping shit, hey, you scoffers are gonna get the worst of judgment. So just keep up your scoffing and scorning, because you got guys that still mad at us because of the shit Al-Azhar did. Like, y'all still talking about that? Yeah, bitch, we're still talking about it, nigga. If you don't like it, oh well, nigga, go take a long jump off a fucking cliff, man, head first, end your miserable existence. You know, because if that was the men of the Great Millstone that got caught up in some riding a rectum type shit, that these niggas would never live it down. Hell, they're still calling us certain things back to when Polite came up to the camp back in 2015 and the apostles was breaking down Deuteronomy 22 and 8, 22 and 28. Lay hold. You got men that's still putting that badge of shame on us, man. But yet, because this clown gets caught up, getting groped up by, and wanting his wife to get popped by Edomites, now all of a sudden we got to stop talking about it. Now, fuck that, man. Bunch of fucking hypocrites, man. This is why the Most High is getting ready to put 2/3 of you niggas in the spirit world, and gladly so. Anyway, record breaking, over 7 billion people will see the blood moon. This is a worldwide event, man. If you haven't fathomed to realize this is something serious, the Most High is not playing games. He never was playing games, but the Lord is getting ready to really show his hand, man. You know, blood moons, solar eclipses, judgment, war, economic collapse, martial law, mass judgment. Hey, we may very well see the end on Trump's term, man. Lord's will. It says there's a great total lunar eclipse coming up in a few weeks and will be enjoyed by the vast majority of the people on the planet, from Oceania to Brazil. It says the event will happen depending on your time zone and during the evening between September 7 and 8, from the partiality to the total spectacle of the so-called blood moon, and then back to partiality, which would take 3 hours, 29 minutes, and 24 seconds. It says if you want the whole spectacle from start to finish, blase, at the prenumerable phase, you have plenty of places to pick from. Most of Asia, a sliver of East Africa, and Western Australia will get the full show. It says the rest of Africa, Australia, and much of Europe and the east coast of Brazil will get at least a partial or part of the totality and the partiality. It says this tells us that 60% of the world's population will be able to see the whole show, and up to 87% of it will get at least part of the event, as always, weather permitting. And Esau, he may very well spray the skies over the entire globe, man. Because, I mean, this is a national event. Everybody's getting a whiff of it. Hey, the scriptures say, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Okay, woe to the world. It says troubles and sorrow should come upon it on every side, meaning the whole world is getting ready to be in some type of turmoil, man. Okay, not just Babylon, but Europe, Asia, Africa. You know, because you got jakes all over the world, man. You know, you got the heathens that's in rulership. So there may very well be judgment. Well, it ain't gonna know very well. There will be judgment that's gonna take place on the totality of the earth, not just Babylon. Even though Babylon is gonna get the worst of the judgment, this whole world is getting ready to see hell on earth, man. It says here, and up to 87% of it will get at least part of the event as always, weather permitting. But it says, before our pals in America call foul, we want to remind them that this is the second lunar eclipse happening in 2025. And the first one, which took place in March, was pretty much an American exclusive. I remember that. That was the night of the Passover, or going into the second night of the Passover. You know, I remember that after we shut down the Passover, I want to say roughly 2 o'clock that morning, that's when it took place, on the night of the Passover. So that was a very, very significant event. But it says here, and it was pretty much an American exclusive, but it's important not to hog these cosmic events. But the orbit of the moon is slightly slanted with respect to the orbit of the earth around the sun. And if the two were the same, we would get the lunar and the solar eclipse every month. But instead, they tend to happen more rarely, every 6 months or so. But certain years are better when the moon is at node. But these things are happening very, very frequently, man, because we've been having blood moons damn near every year, every other year, from what I can remember. It says a node means that the sun, the earth, and the moon are aligned and in synergy. It says the total lunar eclipse occurs at a full moon when the sun and the earth and the moon line up, so the moon passes completely within the shadow. It says there are partial lunar eclipses where the moon doesn't fully enter the shadow, and the umbral eclipses when the moon only crosses the half shadow. But it says the total lunar eclipse is also known as the blood moon because once in the shadow of the earth, it turns red. But the reason for this is that sunlight filters through the atmosphere of the earth. So our planet's shadow has a bit of crimson hue, coloring the moon with no direct sunlight is reaching it. Right? It says here, but one thing the March eclipse had that's not happening here is a mission on the moon to take a picture and back. Then Blue Ghost was operational, capturing incredible view, which that's bullshit. They never made it to the moon, all right? But these are signs of the times, and you know, things are getting ready to get interesting as we're gonna see this war in the Middle East escalate. Okay, and then you have the Israel, and now you have Iran, you got China, you got Russia, you got North Korea. Okay, the world is on full alert now because they're speculating some type of retaliation from the West, man. You know, and then you have Russia, which is pretty much obliterating the Ukraine, and the rest is grass, man. All right, but let's get a couple of precepts real quick. This wasn't going to be a long lesson, but the Lord, he's known for showing his signs and wonders, which lets you know that things are getting ready to take place. So this is the book of Deuteronomy 26, and I'm going to start at verses 5, and it says, and thou shalt speak and say before the Lord thy power, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down to Egypt and sojourned there with the few and became there a great nation, mighty and populous, man. Okay, and you got to understand, coming forth to bring the Israelites. And it says, and the Egyptians evil entreated us and afflicted us and laid us in hard bondage. And when we cried unto Yahweh, the power of our fathers, the Lord heard our voice and looked upon our affliction and our labor and our oppression. And the Lord hath brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with a great terribleness and with signs and with wonders. Okay, so we're getting ready to be delivered from this Egypt through the same fashion, through signs, wonders, okay, judgments, and ultimately the ships, which is getting ready to pick us up once the nuclear destruction come. You know, but prior to that, you're going to have all types of shit happening on the planet Earth, from civil war to economic instability, and ultimately the passing of the mark of the beast, which is swiftly upon us, man, because the whole world is getting ready to go digital. And once the world goes digital, they're going to require a national tracking device so people can have their information uploaded into these databases, man. Okay, and that was one purpose for that real ID nonsense, to have people to upload these data inside of an algorithm, so therefore they can identify you and track you. All right, and that prophecy is soon to come to pass. another precept. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy 32, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at verses 17. It says, "Ah, the Lord Yahweh, behold, thou hast made the heaven and the earth by thy great power and stretched out arm, and there is nothing too hard for thee. It says, and thou showest thy love kindness unto thousands, and recompense the iniquity of the fathers into the bosom of their children after them," which proves that the Lord gets you 3 generations down the line. All right, reincarnation. And it reads here, and it says, "The great and mighty power, the Lord of hosts is his name, great in counsel and mighty in work. And for thy eyes are open upon all the ways of the sons of men," you heathens, man, because this is going to hit pretty much every continent besides America, because we had ours back in March or April this year during the time of the Passover. But now the rest of the world is getting ready to witness their the sign from the Heavenly Father. And it reads, and it says, "To give everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. And the nations, they have ruled in anger and wickedness and idol worship and heathenism." Okay, this world is ran by heathens, and this is the reason why it's so out of balance. But it says here, "Which has set signs and wonders in the land of Egypt." This is modern day Egypt. "Unto this day, and in Israel and among other men, and has made thee a name as this day." And this wonder and signs is getting, like we read, is going to hit parts of the Eastern Hemisphere. It's going to hit Brazil. It's going to hit various parts of the world. Okay, that's why it says here, "Even unto this day in Israel and among other men, and hast thou made thee a name as this day, and has brought forth thy people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and wonders, and with a strong hand and a stretched out arm, and with great terror," man. Okay, "and has given them this land which thou hast swore to their fathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey," which proves that the real people are not in the land today, because the land of Israel is basically cursed, man. Okay, they had a plague of locusts that hit out there. They had all types of fires. Okay, trees and grass or trees, they have to be imported because the land is cursed. Because you got a bunch of heathens in our land, man. So clearly they're not the real people, because that land is not flowing with milk and honey. And that's not a land of great substance out there anymore. Okay, the only thing they got going for them right now is the Mediterranean Sea, because it's a closed system. But other than that, that land is pretty much barren. It's destroyed because of the people. You see, but we're getting ready to get that land back, because Yahweh Shai promised us that he was going to take us back to that land, and we were never going to be taken away from our home again, and that comes once this man goes down, because Esau has done a complete number on the planet Earth. And like I mentioned, he may spray the skies extra heavy around the world, because this is an event that's foretelling his downfall. You see, Matthew 16, and I'm gonna start at verses 3. And I find it weird that every time we have these solar and lunar eclipses, then Esau say, "Well, we won't have another one for another 10 years, but another year or two, it pops up. Another one pops up." I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we weren't supposed to have this for the next 10, 15 years. But then all of a sudden, another eclipse pops up out the blue, But anyway, Matthew 16 and 3. And this is a warning to you scoffers and you scorners too. You guys out there that feel some type of way because we rebuke other Israelite counts because they're going off on a doctrine. Matthew 16 and 1. It says, "The Pharisees and also the Sadducees came and tempting, desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. And he answered and said to them, When it is evening, ye say there will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. Ye hypocrites, ye can discern ye can discern the face of the sky, but ye cannot discern the sign of the times." Okay, verse 4. "A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed." Okay, and that sign is happening. The prophets are out on the street speaking, But he called you a bunch of hypocrites because you guys act like nothing is happening on the planet Earth. Okay, instead of getting your lives right with Yahweh Shai and praying and asking the Lord to forgive you and come back into his good graces and go out and do the work to wake your people up so we can get the hell up out of here, you jakes are steady, you're waxing worse and worse. Okay, you got this big podcast thing going on in Israel. Israel has become the biggest joke in a religious community, man, thus far. Okay, I would say the Israelite community is probably neck and neck with Christian dogma right now. And you know why? It's because of the players you have in this thing. Okay, you got men that actually cosplay being Israelites, and one of them You know, the peg boy, he's one of them. Talking about, oh, it's too toxic, oh, and they cosplaying Israelite. Nigga, you were fucking cosplaying, man. You was the one that wasn't sincere about it. Okay, if it wasn't from GMS, the men of the Great Millstone, authentically teaching his word with no gimmicks and with austerity, this thing would have fell apart a long time ago, man. But luckily, the Lord has set up the tenets of the men of the Great Millstone, because that's where his spirit is dwelling at, man. He's dealing with the sincere men of this thing. He's not dealing with you other guys out there arguing over who got a bigger platform. Oh, I've been important before Gorilla. Like, you niggas are arguing like, yo, it's like some high school of the week bullshit. Arguing over who got the most followers and this and this and that. And you niggas ain't even doing the work of the Lord sincerely, bro. You're worried about your money and you worried about who thinks you're just the top teacher. Okay, you niggas ain't worried about waking up the hopeful elect. You're trying to speak to niggas like Adam 22 and Whack 100, a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of reprobates that don't mean a goddamn thing to the Heavenly Father, and yet this is who you niggas are concerned with reaching. But you got sincere men out here and a few sisters out here that's sincerely thirsting for the word, and you ain't giving it to them, man. That fucking high fructose corn syrup ass doctrine you niggas are teaching. You dudes ain't right. But it says, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the son of the prophet Jonas, and he left and departed. So Yahweh Shai called you out, called you a bunch of baseless hypocrites, man. And that's why when judgment comes, hey, a lot of you dudes, man, we gonna laugh at you. Straight up, because a lot of you guys, man, you just empty air, you just empty space. All right, Luke 21:11. And it reads here, it says, then he said unto them, nations should rise against. Matter of fact, let's start at verses 7. It says, and they asked him, saying, Master, when shall these things be? And what sign will be when these things should come to pass? So the disciples was asking Yahweh Shai about the end. What should we look forward to prior to him coming, so we can know what to prepare for, know what to expect? And he said, take heed that ye be not deceived. For many should come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them, because you have a lot of false prophets, all right, even a lot in Israel. But when ye should hear wars and rumors of wars or commotions, be not terrified. For these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then he said unto them, nation shall rise against nation. We're seeing this, okay? We're seeing Israel go up against Iran, all right, and Palestine going up against the Israelis, and then you have Russia and Ukraine, then you have America that's pretty much drawn into every fucking war on the planet. Then you have North Korea, you got South Korea, you got China, all right? You got all these nations that's testing nuclear weapons. You know, they're moving particular ICBMs from border to border. I mean, we're clearly seeing the rise of nations, man. World War III. And it reads, and it says, and there should be earthquakes in diverse places. Hell, earthquakes. I mean, earthquakes. We just had one. That we had. How many earthquakes we had in the last? Man, we have earthquakes every single day. All right, but we had wildfires. I think wildfires hit Cali again. We had floods, record-breaking floods, and down in Texas, the East Coast. Shit, hell, even Illinois, Missouri got hit with floods, man. So these are all signs. Famines and pestilence, which famines are getting ready to hit, and pestilence. They're talking about a new variant of the C19 again. And fearful sights and great signs shall that be from heaven, okay? Fearful sights, blood moons, chariot pop-ups, solar eclipses, man, particular cosmic activities, you know? And going down to 25, and there should be sign in the sun, and in the moon, and the stars, and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, heart attacks, and for looking after those things which are coming upon the earth, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So we're supposed to be looking forward to these signs, man. You know, this is why we continue to do lessons like this, because it's irrelevant. How else are the elect are going to know what to look for and what to expect if we're not going into these things? Okay, I'd rather do these lessons than debate with a bunch of people that ain't going to get it anyway. You know? Sirach 42:18. And it reads, It says, the Lord have not given power to the saints to declare all his marvelous works, and the Almighty Lord firmly settled, and whatsoever is might be established for his glory. And he seeketh out the deep in the heart, and considereth their crafty devices. For the Lord knoweth all that may be known, and he beholdeth the signs of the world. Okay, and he declared the things that are past and for to come, and revealeth the steps of hidden things. So the chip, okay, the end was declared from the beginning. Okay, the MOTB, and showing signs in the heavens, you know. So yeah, it's getting ready to be a whole ordeal. And this Sirach 42 go hard. Okay, I like this 19. It says he declared the things that are past and for to come, and revealeth the steps of hidden things. Yeah, through this build up of this technocracy, the chip. Okay, that's a new thing. That's why guys can't seem to get it. Oh man, the mark of the beast, that's talking about sin, brother. No, it's a little bit more diverse than that. It is a sin to take it, but that's not the definition of it. For those of you out there that want to skate past the MOTB prophecy, Sirach 36:6, last precept, and it says here, matter of fact, let's start at verse 6. It says, show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Okay. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy. Sake the time short. Remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works. And let him that escape be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. And this is what's getting ready to happen. Esau was getting ready to finally be taken out of his rulership and put in slavery where he belongs. You know. So anyway, I'm gonna end it. All praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kakwadash. Lord, will you edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.